The reporting feature in the gateway is a powerful way to look at your previous transactions and find any information you need about them. In most cases, the easiest way to do this is through the search field at the top of every page in the gateway. If I hover over the eye, I can see what I can do here. So I can search the last 180 days for a transaction ID, order ID, last name, email address, or credit card number. This is going to be the full or last four of that number. So, for example, I could search for all customers with the last name Doe. I could search for the last four of a card number, or a specific order ID. If I need a more powerful search, I can do that by going to the Transaction Reports link in the main menu, or on the home screen we have a tile for reports. Now the reports page is split into two sections. There's the snapshot and the search section. So if I go to the snapshot, I can group by whatever I'd like, and then I can give it a start and end date. It starts at the first day of the current month and ends today. So as an example, it's going to default to the settlement batch, which will show you each settlement batch that you have, or you can go through one of these alternatives. I can look at the card payment type, payment processor, user account, transaction source, or a date range. I'm going to do the card payment type. So if I do group by card payment type and then a start and end date of the defaults, I can just hit submit. And there we go. These are my transactions split up by the card and payment type. So we have American Express, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and eChecks. If I look into those a little bit more, I can see I had one American Express transaction for $2.17. I had 13 charges on Visas, 2 refunds, 3 voids for a total of 18 for a grand total of $12.10, and then down the line. Let's say I want to look at these MasterCards. I want to see these MasterCards and then split up even more. So I can click the magnifying glass and say group these, so just the MasterCard ones, based on, let's do transaction source. So this is now splitting them up by all the ways you can run transactions in the system, and I can see all of these were run through the iProcess mobile payments app. If I want to see these in actual more detail, I can click that and I can group again by something else, but I just want to view these transactions. So now I see a list of those transactions. If we go back to the main reports page, I can see a bunch of info down here, which is again where you're going to do most of your searches. So all these are pretty self-explanatory, but I'll go through them real quick. The transaction ID is the gateway generated unique identifier for each transaction. The order ID is something that you enter for a transaction to give it something unique in most cases. Last name is the customer's last name. Email address is the email address for the customer that you entered. This will do partials. So if you want to do all customers that have a Gmail address, you can do that to see all of them. Account number is going to be the credit card or check number. You can either do a full match or we'll match the first 6 or last 4. The status is what status is the transaction in. So pending settlement is a credit card transaction that hasn't settled yet but is going to. A complete is a credit card or check transaction that has completed, so has settled. Or I could say, just show me my failed transactions. And if I select this, it'll show me only declines that I've had in the date range. Transaction type is what payment method. So this is going to be credit card, check, or it could be cash. The action type is going to be a sale, refund, authorize, capture, those sorts of things. And the processor is going to show if you have multiple payment processors on your account, say, for example, 2 credit card processors, one for e-commerce, one for retail, those will show up here and you can say, just show me ones from a specific one. The mobile device is going to be, if you're using our mobile payments app, iProcess, you can see which device ran some transactions. And then the rest are just, again, fields that are going to be different for each transaction. You have the platform ID, customer ID, the company name, and then beans. So beans is a merchant-defined field that I've created for this account, and I only have one, but if I had more, I'd see all of those in this bottom section. I'd see every one as a searchable field, so if I have a custom field that I'm using, I'm entering on all transactions, I can use that. Min and max amount will let you search for amounts. So if I want to do, say, just show me transactions between $10 and $100, I could do that. I'm going to leave those just as they are. And then the start and end date. So it defaults to the current month to date. So it will always start at the first of the month and then go through whatever the current date is at 11:59 p.m. You can edit these. So I can edit this down to, say, the 28th, or I could go to the calendar here and pick a new date from the picker. I'm just going to leave it as the default. And if you want something even easier, we have a calendar here that'll show you a list of what we think are very common searches, such as just ones today, this week, this month, last month, past 180 days. A lot of these are going to be helpful. Maybe 1 or 2 of them will be useful for how you do your searching. I'm just going to leave it as the default to the current month. So submit. And there we go. These are all the transactions that meet that criteria. So I have 25 total transactions, and here they are. If I had too many to show on one page, I'd see some pagination options here, and then at the bottom I always see the option to download these transactions, whatever this list is, as an Excel document or a CSV. Before we jump into a transaction, I'll just show you real quick how to customize this page. If you want to move things around, you can grab any of these headers and move them around the board. So anywhere over here, I can move status over there. Maybe I want the amount next to the status. I can bump that over there. And there we go. You can just kind of move these however you'd like. In addition, you can hit this gear icon up here, and then you can see more fields. So maybe there's other information on a transaction you want to see. So maybe credit card type is important to you, so you can check that. Maybe the AVS status is important to you. You can check that. So now when I save it, I have more information. It's all the ones I had before, but now AVS status and CC type are on the end. And I can see AVS status, a lot of no's, a couple with no response, but you'd see like Y for yes, a match, N for no match. And then the credit card type, I have Visa, MasterCard, Amex, all those will show there. And again, maybe I want to get the CC type next to the account number, so I can move that over there. So I have this number with this account type. So you can really customize this to look however you'd like. And I'm just going to leave it how it is. So I'm going to jump into one of these transactions at random, just this one. And then you can see a whole bunch of details about this transaction. The meat of the page is the receipt itself, so you can see some transaction info, the transaction ID that's useful for basically everything you want to do with this transaction in the system. You can see information on the credit card that was used or checking account that was used. The billing info and shipping info will show here, and then any product or merchant-defined field data will display near the bottom. The absolute bottom is the transaction history, where you can see all actions on this transaction. So on this case, we have a card sale that was successful. Here's the timestamp, here's the amount. The virtual terminal, that shows you where it was done. This could say virtual terminal, API, QuickBooks, iProcess, that sort of thing. And then it also shows you the user who did it, as well as their IP address when they did the action. I can also go to the previous or next transactions with these buttons here if I want to go just to the next one without going back to the full list. And then at the top, there's some actions I can take on this transaction. So I can create a subscription with this customer's information. If I click that, that takes me to the add subscription page, and it already has their card number and all of their customer info filled out for me. So I can go ahead and add a recurring payment for them without having to ask for their card info again. Similarly, I can create an order template with all of the order info here to use on another customer later, or I can add them to the vault. If I want to do some actions on this current transaction, I can void or refund. So if I void it, it's going to attempt to void the authorization so the customer is never actually charged. This action will only be visible before settlement. And I can also refund at any time. So if I want to refund their money, that's going to create a new transaction that'll refund the amount to them. I can run either of those from here. So if I want to do a refund, for example, if I click that, that'll take me to the refund page with the full amount pre-filled, and then I can run a refund from there. I don't want to do that now, so I'm just going to go back. If I want to recharge them, I can use this charge again to charge again auth or charge again sale. If I do charge again sale, that's going to fill out all of their information again with the same amount, same card info, same billing info, and then I can just charge right away. The final two options are to print a receipt. This will give me a printer-friendly version that I can print out for them, or I can do an email receipt, in which case I'll just enter an email address and email them a copy of their receipt as well.